There's only one station for times like these. Oklahoma's only 100,000 watt talker. This is the new Freedom 96.9 and freedom969.com.
As leaves fall and days get shorter, remember a few safety tips. Hi, this is Major Meredith Herman with the Oklahoma City Fire Department with some outdoor fire safety tips. Never burn leaves or brush on windy days, and always keep water nearby. Make sure the fire is completely out before you leave it unattended. Dispose of smoking materials properly. One ember can start a wildfire or damage property. If burning is allowed in your community, verify as an approved burn day and if a permit is needed. A little extra caution goes a long way toward keeping everyone safe this season.
Reach over 30,000 potential customers in just 2 days. Reserve your space today for the 29th Annual AgriFest, coming January 9th and 10th to Enid's Chisholm Trail Expo Center. Free admission and free parking both days, featuring millions of dollars in ag-related products and services from hundreds of vendors from all over the country. Space is still available, so book your exhibit space right now. Call 580-599-5101 or visit knidAgrifest.com for the 29th Annual AgriFest in Enid on January 9th and 10th.
Hi, I'm Brad Keselowski, driver of the number 2 Discount Tire Ford Mustang. Did you know one of the most important keys to success on the track and for safe driving on the road is having the right pressure in your tires? Properly inflated tires are essential to help you get the best gas mileage and keep you driving safely. Check your tire pressure at least once a month or stop by your local tire retailer for an air check.
A message from the U.S. Tire Manufacturers Association.
Unprecedented media bashing. Unparalleled blame game. What are the remedies to heal our nation? Join the discussion on Oklahoma's 100,000 watt talker, the new Freedom 96.9. 100,000 watts of freedom. Listen in the morning, at noon, and on your drive home from work. The new Freedom 96.9.
It went downhill really fast. They were upping my prescription to the point that he said, can't go any higher. They wanted me to do bifocals, and I refused that, so I did contacts and readers.
Tisha talking about her motivation to have lens replacement from Clearsight.
No, I didn't even qualify for LASIK. If I did that, I'd still have to wear the readers, and I was like, well, that's not worth it. I want to be done. This way, I'll never get cataracts. My vision will be perfect.
And how her life has changed, thanks to Clearsight.
It's 100 times better. I mean, being able to see my paperwork and my computer screen and not have to mess with the readers and pull them off and on, and it's the best thing I've ever done. It's the best surgery I've ever had.
No more readers. Goodbye bifocals. Look to the future with lens replacement from Clearsight. For a limited time, enjoy 0% financing for 36 months on LASIK or lens replacement at Clearsight. Call 405-733-2020 or visit clearsight.com to schedule your free, no obligation eye exam. And remember,
2020 or it's free.
That's the Clearsight guarantee, and you are going to love what you see.
KQOP Enid, Oklahoma City. Freedom is our name. The new voice of Oklahoma. We're Talk Radio. Freedom 96.9. From the government shutdown to the media bashing blame game, now more than ever, listen every day to your 100,000 watt talker, the new Freedom 96.9. Freedom
Weather. Here's your Oklahoma City AccuWeather forecast. This afternoon will bring mostly cloudy skies with a few showers and a thunderstorm reaching a high of 65. Tonight, expect periods of rain and drizzle with a low of 53. Tomorrow morning, we'll see some rain, then turning cloudy with a high of 68. On Monday, anticipate a mix of sun and clouds with a high of 66. Tuesday promises bright sunshine becoming breezy later in the day with a high of 63. With your Oklahoma City AccuWeather forecast, I'm meteorologist Joe Lundberg.
We interrupt our program with a special bulletin.
The views and opinions expressed in this broadcast are solely those of the speakers and other contributors. These views and opinions do not necessarily represent those of this station.
Broadcasting live from the command center of Freedom 96.9 in Oklahoma City, it's McRoof Fortifies, Oklahoma. Saving lives, protecting property, fortifying Oklahoma, one roof at a time. I'm Rick Allen Lippert here with Hague Certified Master Level Damage Inspector, Oklahoma Licensed Public Adjuster, Fortified Evaluator, and IBHS Fortified Roofing Contractor Scott McCullum.
Hey, Mr. Rick.
Hague Certified Wind and Hail Roofing Inspector Scotty McCullum is also here.
Good morning.
Joining Retro Radio Randy running the show today. He's still on probation, though.
Come on.
So we won't be hearing from him other than his whining in the background. But you can talk to him when you call 405-608-4377. We are live streaming today on the YouTube channel, the McRoof Fortifies Oklahoma YouTube channel, and we're streaming the audio on freedom969.com. We'll start as usual with our trivia question and other interesting tidbits, including the word of the week. The phone number to answer the trivia question or to just ask a question, 405-608-4377. Later, we'll hear Scotty's view from the rooftop, and we'll have some after-the-storm tips brought to you by RoofRx, and we'll wrap up with Dad's wisdom. Coming back from breaks, we'll have some official, obscure, historical trivia. Hey, guys, I saw Paul McCartney this week in Tulsa. Phenomenal show.
Wow.
Absolutely great. And no, we didn't meet up backstage. But while leaving the BOK Center, I noticed this security guard up ahead, and she was searching the faces of the exiting people intently. Well, just as we were walking by her, she pulled me aside and said that Paul's tour manager had a note for me. And you guessed it, it read, "Remember to say that S&CM LLC, doing business as McRoof.us, legally operates under Oklahoma registration number 8000002, and that the registration applies to both residential and commercial roofing." But Sir Paul didn't sign it.
You can't even have an evening out in Tulsa, without being accosted. Oh, my gosh. Oh, my God.
Yeah. It's just, I can't go anywhere. And how he got to Paul, how your attorney got to Paul McCartney's tour manager is beyond me.
I bet he greased the sleds a little bit.
I bet he did. Okay, guys, what is our trivia question today?
All right, this is really low-hanging fruit. I mean, I know that Benny's out there, and his batting average has been going way, way down. So this is low-hanging fruit. A square is a unit of measure in roofing equal to A, 1 square foot, B, 10 square feet, C, 100 square feet, or D, 1,000 square feet.
This is like roofing elementary school.
Yeah.
This is not even 101, is it, Scott?
Oh, this is like roofing kindergarten.
So we ought to get a phone call is what you're saying.
Yes,
well, we'll see.
I hope so.
So if you think you know, 405-608-4377. The question again, a square is a unit of measure in roofing, basic unit of measure in roofing. Is it 1 square feet, 1 square foot, 10 square feet, 100 square feet, or 1,000 square feet? Again, if you think you know the answer, give us a call, 405-608-4377. The winner will get either choice of books, Raving Fans, or Unreasonable Hospitality, or a $25 Lowe's gift card, or 2 free tickets to any Carpenter Square Theater production this season. And it's a beer for breakfast, continues tonight, tomorrow, and again next weekend.
Wow.
A very funny show.
Wow. Tell you how easy that trivia question was? We've already got somebody calling in.
Yeah.
I think that's our record.
They may not be calling about the trivia
for the fastest caller.
Well, could be. Hey, Rodney, do you want to give us a shot?
Good morning, Rodney.
Hello, Rodney.
Hey, Rodney.
Randy's pushing buttons. He's trying to get there.
We're looking for Rodney.
That's 10 square feet.
10 square feet.
That was your final answer, B?
Yes, sir.
Sorry, Rodney.
That's my sound effects, Rodney.
I'm sorry, Rodney.
There it is. There it is.
That was a noble attempt.
Good try, Rodney.
It's a 10 by 10 square is what it is.
Oh, it's what now? Say it again.
10 by 10. 10 foot by 10 foot is a square on a shingle.
Oh, wait a minute. 10 foot by 10 foot or 100 square feet. So you are telling us the correct answer. Yay! Ding, 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 ding. Way to go, Rodney. Man, I'm glad you were patient enough to explain to us how you were answering that. So we got you right on there. All right, man. Well, we appreciate you. Thanks so much for listening, and stay on the line so you can pick your prize.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rodney. All right. Well, good. Hey, we got that out of the way. Hey, but folks,
did Rodney say 10?
He did say 10.
Okay. So anyway,
but then he elaborated.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. He knew what he was talking about.
So
it seems that way. Yes.
Folks, just because Rodney got the answer correct with a little help,
you can still call us.
You can still call us at 405-608-4377 with a roofing question.
And maybe what we ought to do, Rick, we ought to start having something where they can call us, and if they can stump Scotty and I, they get a prize for doing that.
Hey,
maybe we should start doing that.
Works for me.
So, yeah.
I'll offer, how about $1,000 cash?
Oh, wow, man.
No, not doing that. All right, so let's do the word of the week.
The word of the week is rake.
Rake.
Not like your garden rake.
Oh.
Yeah,
But there's another type of rake in construction.
Yeah.
It's usually on a gable construction structure.
Okay.
And it refers to the sloped edge of a gable roof that extends, that runs down on a diagonal, extending from the eave to the ridge. It plays a crucial role in both aesthetics and functionality.
So if you have, you're looking at the outside of your house.
Right.
And if you have
Rick doesn't have any rakes. He doesn't have a normal house.
Actually, Rick does, because he has the little small gables on his house that would actually have a rake.
The up
on
top
them.
stuff. Okay.
So if you have a flat roof, if you have a hip roof, you're not going to have rakes. A hip roof, you're going to have eaves all the way around your house.
Okay.
There's no angular or vertical element on that hipped roof.
Okay.
Around the perimeter. All right. And on a gable roof, you obviously have eaves on the sides of the house.
Yeah.
And on the ends of the gable, you have that angular or vertical element. That is your rake. So on a gabled structure, you have eaves and rakes.
For what it's worth, in theater, there's a stage style called a raked stage.
Okay.
Which means that the upstage, the back part of the stage, is higher than the front. So that if people are sitting flat on the floor, if they don't have tiers of seating, they're sitting flat on the floor. The people upstage, the back of the stage, can be seen.
Got you.
That's where the term getting upstaged comes from. When someone would walk upstage to the higher elevation, and thus being seen by more people.
Oh my gosh, just look at the education folks get by clicking on this radio station on Saturday morning. You learn a little bit about roofs, and you even learn about theater, and then when Rick comes back from break, he's giving you history. Look at all the teaching we do here.
Very obscure.
Well-rounded. I would say we're well-rounded, gentlemen.
Well-rounded.
Well,
There you
okay,
go.
so speaking
There
of
you go.
teaching and learning and all of that good stuff, you did some teaching down in Nolans this past
man,
week.
I tell you, Wanda tells it that we ate our way through Nolans.
Yeah.
Okay, which we did a little bit of that too.
Sure.
But yeah, at the Private Risk Managers Association convention, we had a panel that basically was presenting on convective storms, what the response needs to be, how we need to educate everyone in the space, from insurance carriers, agents, producers, and brokers, and obviously our consumers, their clients, on what their response to convective storms really needs to be as regards roofs. And so we talked a lot about systems roofs. We talked about building better. We talked about IBHS Fortified. We talked about building roofs to the high wind and hail standards or to the hurricane standards. We talked about different types of roofs. There's a growing sense that maybe asphalt really shouldn't be 75% of every roof type in North America. You know, that maybe there's something else. So we talked a lot about some of our synthetics and composites and metal products. And it was really just a great exchange of information for people to educate their consumers.
Great. We'll find out more about your past week, both of you guys, when we come back from break. I want to remind everyone you're listening to McRoof Fortifies Oklahoma on Freedom 96.9 in Oklahoma City. Scotty McCullum, Retro Radio Randy. I'm Rick Allen Lippert. Our phone number, 405-608-4377.
Everything starts with the inspection. At RoofRx, we're not just flying drones. We're the team that built and teaches the state-of-the-art drone program at Francis Tuttle in Oklahoma City. That expertise means we know how to capture the right images so Hague-certified Scotty and his team can deliver an accurate prescription for your roof. And if there isn't damage, you still get a documented baseline, a 3D model with high-quality images, so you're informed and protected for the future. RoofRx, the prescription for your ailing roof.
They deal with the insurance company for you, which is so nice and helpful.
One of the most important things that I prioritize is setting the right expectation, what they can expect from their insurance carrier, what ducks need to be lined up to make sure their project reaches the outcome that they desire.
I'm on the phone most of the day, talking with insurance companies, trying to resolve a claim that has not been paid correctly. We don't give up.
They were able to come out and give a full, in-depth inspection. That process ultimately led to a doubling of the claim.
He probably got me, at least on this roof, $50,000 more by my calculation than I would have gotten with the other roofers.
It goes far beyond what a normal roofing company would do. We're gonna do it right. We don't just build roofs, we build relationships.
Anybody you talk to in their office is their family, and they treat you like family.
Trust is the number one thing that we have to establish early on in the process. We treat people as if they are family.
When my son became very ill and had to be meta-flighted to another state, Wanda was on the phone with me. Hey, what's going on? How can we help? We'll pray for your family. What else can we do to help your family? Just let us know. For somebody to do that basically, quote unquote, only put on a roof, that's unheard of.
No one feels like they were just a transaction to us.
We're always here, and we want to be here for people who need us.
We build relationships with our clients that last way past the life of their roof.
McRoof Fortifies Oklahoma back on the air for this segment. On this date in 1760, King George succeeded to the throne as George III succeeded to the throne as King of Great Britain and Ireland. Now, why is that important when we normally focus on American history and these obscure facts? Well, King George III was the bloke we revolted against in 1776. So, there you go. 16
I would
years,
say that's relevant.
16 years on the throne, and he has a major uprising when we tossed aside a monarchy to have our own government. And then, shortly after our revolution started in 1780, John Hancock, the big name on the Declaration of Independence, well, he was elected as the first governor of Massachusetts with a landslide vote of over 90% of the vote. So there we go. There we go. McRoof Fortifies Oklahoma. Scott and Scotty, what else did you guys do this past week?
Met some adjusters, built some roofs, I think Sean did a lot of repairs.
Okay.
I haven't talked to him much, so that must mean he was busy in the field.
And handling things if you weren't talking to him.
Yes.
Everybody's been
definitely.
busy.
And Carly, my gosh, she was inundated with calls, especially after just Thursday night's hailstorm.
Yeah.
And oh boy, we didn't need much more of that, but we'll take it, I guess.
Well, some people did, so we can talk about that for just a minute. So
I mean, there's a lot of older roofs that had not been replaced that needed a fresh date of loss, and they finally got one. So that's good.
That's one way to look at it.
Well, that hail. I mean, when I look at the swaths and when I look at the size of the recorded hail, certainly over towards the Choctaw area north of Midwest City, you're looking at hail in excess of 2 inches easily.
Right.
We had golf ball size hail in any number of areas around basically the southern metro. And so there are a lot of folks, as Scotty said, we have a number of folks that we had roofs that maybe were 50-50 roofs, or we had roofs that were just not quite at that threshold. We also had roofs that absolutely had enough damage, but the folks had not filed their claim timely for an acceptable loss date for their carriers. So all of those people now come back into that window of time where they have an opportunity. So just like we always say, do not file a claim until you have had what, Scotty? A
qualified inspection.
Qualified inspection, which we'll say it again, that is not a roofing salesman telling you need to file a claim. That is a credentialed roof inspector giving you a report on the condition of your roof, evaluating what your policy may or may not say, and giving you the information you need to make the best decision for you. Sometimes I'll get people say, well, what are you doing telling people to file a claim? We don't tell anyone to file a claim. We gather the data and analyze it and review their contracts and policies and consider the facts and present that to them so they can draw their own conclusions about what's going to be in their best interest. People need to know what we call, in our world, we call it oops. We call it out of pocket, and we paint an out of pocket scenario for everyone that we meet. And that out of pocket scenario is their consideration of the financial aspects that should be going into their decision to file a claim or not file a claim. Just to blindly tell someone to file a claim because you have significant damage on your roof, that could be leading people into a place where they don't have the financial resources or the wherewithal to really be able to work their way through that on the backside. And so that's why we do things the way we do. But as Scotty said, the starting place is a credentialed, a qualified roof inspection. You start there. Then you have the data. You draw your own conclusions about whether or not you should or should not file an insurance claim.
All
We
right.
there are roofing companies that will take the phone out of your hand, have you dial your insurance agent or carrier, take the phone out of your hand, and essentially file that claim for you. That is not something that is legitimate or a practice that should be tolerated in our business.
All right. Hey, Scotty, you want to get up on the roof and tell us what it looks like up there?
Sure.
Well, hang on. Hang on. Oh, man, Scotty, not again. All right, Scotty's view from the rooftop. What's it look like up there?
Well, I can see for miles and miles, but I'm not in OKC. I'm in Tulsa.
Uh-oh.
Yep.
Did you see Paul McCartney?
No, I didn't. I didn't, but I saw his bus and somebody throwing something out the window. It must have been a crumpled note from our lawyer.
I did see, I believe it was McCartney's bus going down the turnpike the next morning as we were driving home. Here comes the biggest darn RV you ever saw. And I know he was headed to San Antonio, and I thought, I told my wife, I said, that's
probably
that's
so.
Sir Paul.
Yeah, most likely.
Okay, so you're in Tulsa.
I'm in Tulsa.
You're on a roof.
I'm on a roof. It's a very steep roof.
Uh-oh.
It's a high roof, too. It's 2.5 stories.
Oh, my.
And they've got a basement, too, of all things. So they got a lot of footage in this place. But all that just to say I was up there with an adjuster. The adjuster didn't really go too far, and he wouldn't have even been able to get on the roof if it weren't for my help. But he's an independent. He says he had this he has this nerve pain in his foot, and I'm thinking before we get on the roof, we have this conversation. I think, how do they let you inspect roofs like this?
Yeah.
I don't think he's disclosed any of that information to his boss, but anyways, it's a 50-year not GAF, Certainteed Grand Manor roof. Very sturdy roof product. It's about 15 years old. I think they don't know the exact age, but it's about 15. All the neighbors have had a new roof recently. We're up there. I have to throw a rope around I have to harness off to the chimney, one of 5 large stone chimneys on the roof to help this guy get up onto the roof, because he's not going to get up there without my help. He's, let's just say, really not used to inspecting steep roofs. And it was clear from the start.
And, of course, when this claim was filed, the carrier was advised, and, of course, they know when you insure a roof like that, you know what it looks like, all right? They may not know a whole lot more, but they know what it looks like. They were advised that this was a very steep roof and that they needed to send a steep, qualified inspector out to be able to do this assessment.
Okay. One minute.
So he does his best to see 4 directional slopes of the roof from the low-sloped saddle that's above a certain portion of this house. He gets done with his inspection, goes talk to the customer. We have a good exchange. He and I discuss many aspects of the damage. He asks for my input on marking different things that I want him to document for his file. And he gets down, goes talk to the customer. I get down too, then I get back up. It takes me 3 hours to inspect this roof because it's a pretty sizable roof surface.
Mm-hmm.
And it's got a lot of details that he couldn't even access. So all that just to say, when you file a claim, let your carrier know that it is if it's a steep roof, if it's a very steep roof, it's a very, very, very steep roof.
Tall roof, 2-story,
all of those
3-story,
details are
all
pertinent,
of those things,
and some of them would not really consider that because they have already made their mind up about who their third-party inspector is going to be, and unfortunately, some of them are not too well inclined to get up on that roof.
Okay. My goodness. 2.5
That's
stories.
why you call McRoof.
Yeah. Oh, my
well,
goodness.
you know, it's what we tell people that we meet all kinds of adjusters. We meet all kinds of inspectors and engineers. Some of them are not physically capable of getting on these roofs and doing an inspection the way that it should be done. So that's why you need us there.
Yeah, and
Scotty
I'll tie a bow
go-
around my story after the break.
After the break. You're listening to McRoof Fortifies Oklahoma on Freedom 96.9 in Oklahoma City. We'll be back after the news break with more obscure historical trivia.
Unprecedented violence, unparalleled division. What are the remedies to heal our nation? Join the discussion on Oklahoma City's 100,000 watt talker, the new Freedom 96.9. Freedom
Weather. Here's your Oklahoma City AccuWeather forecast. This afternoon will bring mostly cloudy skies with a few showers and a thunderstorm reaching a high of 65. Tonight, expect periods of rain and drizzle with a low of 53. Tomorrow morning, we'll see some rain, then turning cloudy with a high of 68. On Monday, anticipate a mix of sun and clouds with a high of 66. Tuesday promises bright sunshine becoming breezy later in the day with a high of 63. With your Oklahoma City AccuWeather forecast, I'm meteorologist Joe Lundberg.
We interrupt our program with a special bulletin.
The views and opinions expressed in this broadcast are solely those of the speakers and other contributors. These views and opinions do not necessarily represent those of this station.
McRoof Fortifies Oklahoma back on the air for the second half of today's show. On this date of October 25th, 1870. Remember postcards? Did you guys ever send postcards?
I've received a couple.
We built a couple companies on postcards. So.
Well, the first postcard was used on this date in 1870.
Wow.
And then in 1906, this is a particular interest to Retro Radio Randy and me. U.S. inventor Lee DeForest patented something called the Audion. It was a 3-diode amplification valve which proved a pioneering development in radio and broadcasting. 1906.
That sounds advanced.
Yeah. All right, so McRoof Fortifies Oklahoma. It is a live Saturday morning call-in show on Freedom 96.9, and today we're going to hear from our old friend Jerry. Hello, Jerry.
Good morning,
Good
Jerry.
morning, gentlemen. Good morning, gentlemen.
How are you doing today?
Living the dream. Waiting for somebody to wake me up from this sometimes nightmare.
Well, it's not all that bad. It's rainy, but the sun's coming, I'm sure.
Well, I heard about that in a musical, I believe, a while back.
So what do you have planned for the weekend, Jerry?
Well, I'm at work, as you know, on Saturday, and that's all great. Fine.
I thought
and then
so. I'm surprised to hear from you.
Yeah. And then my last time that I can participate in the Haunt the Zoo trick-or-treat trail will be tomorrow. And that's for this weekend. And then they're actually going to have a special event for the next, the Friday of Halloween. We'll actually have a members party for members of the zoo. So I can't participate in that, but because I'll be working on Friday as well. So, but I guess I have a kind of a old school kind of a fortified roof, having a metal roof, and I'm really glad that you gentlemen had talked about some of the other great methods of roofing other than the shingle world, which of course that's been upgraded so much, and you all know that so darn much.
Oh yes.
But I'm really thrilled that the word of metal roofing had popped up in the parlance of your communique with the interested parties.
Well, one of the things, Jerry, that we were talking about, and Scotty ran into it on this big roof that he was talking about inspecting this week, in our fortified roofs, a lot of the houses that we're running into have the decorative copper structures on the roofs, the half-round dormers and different things like that. Maybe a standing seam copper shed roof, that kind of thing. Copper, because it is so soft, copper is not an approved metal to be used on a fortified roof. So all of these homes that we're dealing with right now have a copper dormer, copper bay window, something like that. We're actually having to change those to achieve the fortified high wind and hail designation. We're having to change those structures to steel structures. Now, fortunately, in today's world, we have steel that fairly closely, not perfectly, but fairly closely imitates aged copper. We have some products in the steel world, the 26 gauge or 24 gauge steel called core tin or copper tin that gives us that coppery aged look that we can move some of these people into, because if they don't do that, then their only other choice is to actually re-roof those structures with asphalt shingles or with something else that's fortified approved. One of the problems we have is that a lot of those structures are really too flat for you to put asphalt shingles on. You're not supposed to put asphalt shingles on anything that is below a 2 and a 12 pitch. And a lot of those, even the half rounds, have kind of a flat spot on top of them. They're not truly half rounds, okay? And certainly a lot of the dormers and things like that are on a very low slope and would not be able to have asphalt shingles on them. So we have to have these other metal options available. And fortunately, the copper tins, the core tins, the products like that that imitate copper are available to us. So thought you'd find that interesting, Jerry.
I do, and it's interesting how you're able to kind of, I'm sure it's a little challenging and not just, 4 guys in a truck can do that, where you transition from one medium to another and make it viable as far as having a sealed roof system, but also, being, aesthetic in that concept. And that's a great thing. I don't think I have. Thank you this month for my metal roof.
Yes, it's a monthly. We can always anticipate a monthly thanks from you, Jerry. And
well, you got that one in. It's the last Saturday of the month.
Appreciation.
That's funny. That's funny. Well, I'll tell you what. Jerry does have that metal roof that, as we told him when we installed it, 130 mile an hour winds. That's what that roof is warranted for because of the way that it's fastened, the way that it is fastened on solid decking instead of over asphalt shingles or a whole bunch of other crap that in my world doesn't ever get covered up. And then the other thing is that Jerry really benefited from so much of the work that was done before we ever started putting the roof on. You have to do what we call clean deck tear off, even on a metal roof. You have to get down to the old deck. You have to inspect that deck. You have to repair that deck. And in Jerry's case, those repairs were extensive. In some cases, even having to get into the attic and deal with the what do we call it? The what did we call that guy? The Ray de la Caca or whatever? Or what did we call him? All the raccoon stuff and all the mess and the framing issues. There were a lot of framing issues in Jerry's house. So that's all done before you ever start putting the roof on. If you hire a roofer, all they want to do is put a roof on.
Yeah.
Okay? They don't want to fix everything that needs to be fixed. They probably don't have the technical competency to do that. That's a huge difference in McRoof and most other companies, Jerry.
Exactly, and that's one of the particular reasons why I took the long haul of finding out what would be a good contractor to bring into play. Now, you mentioned on all these situations, most of your projects are insurance financed to a certain extent. Mine, of course, was completely out of pocket. But the basic concept is that I went with McRoof and Scott Sr. there because he had built houses from the ground up in his earlier years. So when we were talking rafters or whatever would be
Jerry,
needed.
I'm going to have to cut you off. We're not supposed to tell anybody that stuff. I don't want people to know everything I know, Jerry.
Well, nobody can know all that you know, Scott Senior. There's no way. We'd have to have a heck of a large computer to be able to,
Well, as I tell people, after 55 years in this, there aren't a whole lot of situations that I haven't run into before. And if we do encounter one, I know where to go get the answers. Okay, and so
exactly.
Hey, Jerry, thanks a lot. We got to move on.
We hope you enjoy your
appreciate
weekend,
you, Jerry. Don't work too hard, buddy.
All right, you too.
Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
All right. So, Scotty, I'm going to give you 3 minutes to finish your story about the double high, 2.5-story high roof in Tulsa.
Tie a bow around it.
Well, when physical limitations come into play, it does not matter how much an inspector knows. And so ideally you want somebody who's able-bodied, who knows how to inspect a roof for damage and what damage is what type of damage and what damage is another type of damage. I think that's really that's a primary consideration and should be for anybody who's calling and asking for an inspection. I even thought, because of this experience, they should have to do physical evaluations as an independent adjuster. You should have to, our law enforcement, our first responders, a lot of other trades have to go through, truck drivers, for goodness sake, have to go through a physical exam and re-up that. I think adjusters should be no different.
Well, one of the things that we see, and this happens,
and even roofing contractors.
Scotty can tell you, because this has happened for years, where Scotty's a goat. Scotty is very, very safe and capable of climbing any of these roofs. And we have had adjusters, inspectors hand Scotty their camera and say, "Scotty, would you please mark?" No, literally,
sure, yeah.
we have.
Yeah,
I've had that happen a couple times. Yeah.
If they're not, if they're not capable or if they're not comfortable being in that situation, that ends up being what happens. Not ideal, but at least that way we know that we're capturing the things that they need to know are on that roof.
And it's becoming even more of a common trend that we're seeing not so able-bodied adjusters being sent out on behalf, or even engineers. I've had this happen. This is the third time in 2 months that this has happened on somewhat sizable roofs.
Right.
It's sad because these third parties are trusted to deliver objective, accurate information and comprehensive information that's pertinent to the carrier about the decision they're gonna be forced to make on the claim. And it relies on that third-party adjuster. So we're using this as grounds, secondary grounds for dismissal of a certain judgment, because if we have documentation about what the individual looked like, what equipment that was jerry-rigged type of equipment that they're wearing on the soles of their shoes to try and stay up on the roof, we can't accept that.
Yeah.
And the clients should not accept that. They should not be forced into the position of having a denied claim on the basis of not having a full, comprehensive, and objective inspection.
There you go. With that, we'll take our last break. We'll be back with the final segment. We will get to the after the storm tip when we come back. You're listening to McRoof Fortifies Oklahoma on Freedom 96.9. More obscure historical trivia when we come back, along with the after the storm tip and info on a fundraiser that you'll want to know about. Coming right up. Homer Stacy was a wholesome, good American kid from Texas. At the age of 18, he enlisted in the United States Army Horse Cavalry and was stationed at Fort Bliss. Homer was fascinated with aircraft, so he went to flight school and became an Army Air Corps pilot. Homer Stacy flew a Convair B-24 Liberator, the Yankee Doodle Dandy, on November 11, 1943, when his crew, along with 31 other bombers, destroyed a ball-bearing plant in occupied France. On a return trip, a mechanical failure caused the Yankee Doodle Dandy to drop out of formation, leaving it vulnerable, and shortly thereafter, 7 German Me-109s shot down the plane near Andano, Italy. 4 crew members were killed on board, the others parachuted. 1 was captured and taken prisoner. Homer was among the remaining 5 who made it to Switzerland and returned to duty. Homer Stacy survived World War II, the Korean War, and retired after 23 years of service with many awards and commendations, including the Distinguished Flying Cross, the Purple Heart, and multiple air medals. Homer Stacy McCollum, Scott McCollum's dad. Scott McCollum is McRoof. McRoof.us is owned and operated by the McCollum family, an honorable, trustworthy red, white, and blue family. If you want to fortify your property, call McRoof.us at 405-877-4663. Ask for your complimentary roof inspection performed by a credentialed Hague residential inspector. McRoof.us, saving lives and protecting property by fortifying Oklahoma one roof at a time.
We don't just build roofs, we build relationships.
Anybody you talk to in their office is their family, and they treat you like family.
Trust is the number one thing that we have to establish early on in the process. We treat people as if they are family.
When my son became very ill and had to be meta-flighted to another state, Wanda was on the phone with me. Hey, what's going on? How can we help? We'll pray for your family. What else can we do to help your family? Just let us know. For somebody to do that basically, quote unquote, only put on a roof, that's unheard of.
No one feels like they were just a transaction to us.
We're always here, and we want to be here for people who need us.
We build relationships with our clients that last way past the life of their roof.
McRoof Fortifies Oklahoma, back on the air for the final segment of this morning's live show on Freedom 96.9. Hey guys, corruption in D.C. is nothing new. How about
really?
Yeah, imagine that.
Don't say.
On this date in 1929, former Interior Secretary Albert Fall was convicted of accepting a $100,000 bribe in the Teapot Dome scandal.
Wow.
He was the first cabinet member of the U.S. to go to jail in 1929. 40 years later, on this date of October 25th, 1969, the SS United States, an American ocean liner, that still held the record for the fastest Atlantic crossing, completed its 400th voyage on this date in 1969, and the new owners then shortly afterward announced the ship was retiring. 400 passages across the Atlantic.
That's quite a few.
Hey, Rick, I've got it for you right here. That $100,000 today, $1,894,596.49.
Well,
so there you go.
There you go. The best.
Think he sold his soul for $100,000? Well, no, actually about $2 million.
All right. Hey, Benny, let's get you on the line and make it quick because we still got a lot of business to get to.
Good morning, gentlemen. And
good morning.
You can't say my batting average is down when I'm not in the lineup for 2 weeks.
Well, yeah, that's true, Benny, and I'm so sorry about your dad, and our thoughts have been with you. So anyway, thanks
you, sir.
Thanks for calling in.
I
Okay,
appreciate it. We laid him to rest on the 15th, and it was a nice ceremony. I spoke, and my brother-in-law officiated, so it was a good thing.
All right.
Besides that, I do have a couple of questions, and to satisfy my curiosity, I think I know. Is rake on the gable also considered pitch on the flatter surface of the roof?
No, I think those terms are incompatible, Benny. I think pitch would refer to the slope of a pitched roof.
You would measure.
Whereas
you would measure the slope. You can measure the slope on the rake. You can measure the slope on that flat roof, but the two terms are totally different.
Okay.
The rake is specifically refers to the edge where the which connects the eave to the ridge.
Yeah, the rake doesn't relate to the angle. I mean, the slope is what you convert to the angle.
Okay, so it'd be like two sides of the triangle, and considering the straight line from one eave to the other across the face of the gable.
Yep.
Would be the base.
Yes, correct.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Good question.
And also, I think that the steeper the pitch, the more wind resistance of wind getting under the shingles there is.
The steeper the pitch. Okay,
like so many of these trusses are creating these steep angled roofs that you guys have to deal with.
Yep.
Okay, so are you saying that you think that a steeper roof is more wind resistant, or
well,
more...
I'm guessing that it's harder for this wind to get under the shingles and lift the edges as long as they've been properly attached. With
so I think that what we're looking at is basically we're looking at the wind attacks from the edges. Okay, we talk about we talk about the leading edges and the corners. That's where the wind is attacking. Right. If you had a steep roof and that wind comes and doesn't get underneath the shingles at the starter course, the drip edge, the wind is basically going to skip up and over that steeper portion of the roof. You will actually see your damage near the top or on actually the back side of the ridge on that steeper surface. Oh. That's where that wind is going to actually go to.
By creating an eddy current?
Exactly. But you essentially are going to have the initial forces of the wind are going to be at the leading edges and the corners. That's where you're going to have. That's why we are in Fortified. It is all about, we call lock it in. We've already nailed down. We've already sealed up. Now we're locking in. This locking in is how we install that drip edge, that edge detail. It's how that self-adhered starter course is applied. It's about the overhang on the shingles. Typically, most shingle roofs that you would look at today, and unfortunately most of mine, would have had somewhere on the range of 1/2 inch of overhang. That is not how I'm building roofs today. That's not how we do fortified roofs. A fortified roof, we do not have the starter course protruding beyond the edge of the drip edge, and we do not have the shingle extending any more than 1/4 inch beyond the edge of that drip edge. That is a documentation that is required for Fortified, a tape measure with showing that no more than 1/4 inch overhang on the shingles at 4 locations around that roof. That is required documentation.
Makes sense to me.
That's where we're getting, because the more overhang you have, obviously,
much better the chance of the wind getting
that
over.
is exactly right. And it's the same thing. It doesn't matter if you're talking about a shingle roof, a metal roof, any kind of roof. The more you stick over the edge, the more risk you're at for the wind. And the higher the winds, we're talking about protecting up to high-end EF2 tornadoes, 135 mile an hour-ish range. If you're getting beyond that, the more overhang you have, the more likely you are, once you start ripping that shingle off, once you start ripping that underlayment off, once you start exposing that deck, then you start getting into all the significant damage. So
yeah, well, at your show here earlier this year, I saw your fortified roof cutaway diagram of showing the different levels of the construction, and that was a great demonstration for anybody that came to see.
Well, CertainTeed outfitted us with some cool backpacks with all of the Fortified CertainTeed products in them, a way for us to lay this out and sit at your coffee table and put it there side by side and let people understand it. And the visual really gives people we love building a fortified roof and having the homeowner walk around with us, and we're showing them everything that is so significantly different from the way that roofs have always been built.
Yeah, wasn't that Johnny and Kelvin that put that together for your show?
Yes, it was. Yes, it was, Benny. And Rick signaling to us that we need to let you off the line.
Thank you, Benny.
We appreciate your questions and hope you have a good weekend.
Have a great one, Benny. We'll see you soon.
Guys.
Okay, bye-bye.
Hey, Scott, your friend Chris Meredith is running for state insurance commissioner, and you're throwing a wingding for him.
Well, a few of us are. So we've got we've had Chris on the show.
Yes.
Want to have him back. He's traveling a lot now, so it's harder and harder to get him. I'm sure that will become even more difficult to do. But we're throwing a fundraiser for Chris Meredith for insurance commissioner. I think that everyone knows how important a position this is and how important a position it will be in the future as we're working to figure out the way forward in terms of these convective storms, the wind and hail, the whole insurance landscape. Obviously, it's everything. Chris is all about lowering the premiums and the things that Oklahoma families are paying. He's about strengthening through the Building Better Resiliency Fortified programs that I talk about all the time. And he wants to protect Oklahomans against fraud and abuse. And now I will say this, Chris is 100% on board with me. Chris recognizes that fraud does not come from one avenue of the ecosystem. Everyone in the ecosystem has a role to play in this, has been guilty of some aspect of this over time. We have consumers who don't pay their deductible or who fudge their claims. We have insurance companies that deny claims that should rightfully be paid. And we have everyone in the middle, the attorneys and the public adjusters and the contractors and restoration contractors and roofers. Everybody has a role to play in this, and we need to clean it up. We need to get this to the place where we're collaborating and working to solve problems for Oklahoma citizens. That's what Chris Meredith is all about. Common sense guy. We have a fundraiser on Tuesday evening, October 28th, this coming Tuesday, 4:30 to 6:30 p.m., 6900 North Bryant Avenue in Oklahoma City. And you can go online to Chris Meredith for Insurance Commissioner, and you can RSVP for that. I know a lot of our listeners receive our McRoof newsletters and email blasts from Carly. You got one last night. You can click on there to RSVP.
I have to say, S&CM LLC, doing business as McRoof.us, legally operates under Oklahoma registration number 80000002, and that the registration applies to both residential and commercial roofing. I guess we don't have time for an after the storm tip.
We can do it real fast. If you had hail on 1023, you need to call Carly and get your inspection scheduled.
There you go. Dad's wisdom.
To add value to others, one must first value others.
There you go. This has been episode number 30 of McRoof Fortifies Oklahoma. on Freedom 96.9. Thank you, Scott McCullum. Thank you, Scotty McCullum. Thank you, Retro Radio Randy. I'm Rick Allen Lippert. We'll be back next week. Stay dry and stay safe.
Thanks to all our
Have a
callers.
good weekend.
KQOP Enid, Oklahoma City. Make the right choice and keep tuned to the new Freedom 96.9, your first choice for talk radio in Oklahoma.